A recruiter, in my opinion, as brutal as it is there to judge you as a person. The recruitment industry standard of a job to fill ratio, which is basically to pick up this many jobs and get a placement, I need to do 5 to 1. Can you imagine working 5 times for an outcome of 1? It's brutal. And I think that's where the master servant mindset comes in. And if you've got a 5 to 1 job to fill ratio, you probably have a master servant mindset. You're doing volume, not quality.
Joining us today is Sara De Cruz, Senior SAP Recruiter at Precision Sourcing and a key contributor to Australia's SAP Talent Survey. She's known for her precise, people-first approach to matching SAP specialists with the organisations that need them most.
I worked really, really hard to basically just say, you know what, not that. I don't want 5 to 1. I want 2 to 1. I want 1 to 1 now. I want to know if a client's approached me, I've worked so hard at building that relationship that it's almost a guarantee that something good, money, is waiting for me at the end of this process. An outcome is there that I will be able to directly influence. And a lasting impression is not an email. It's not a job application. For me, personally, what leaves a lasting impression on me is a...
As a recruiter, you're a SAP recruiter. You hire SAP specialists. You'll get to explain all that yourself in a minute. But as a recruiter, what makes a good recruiter? And break it down for me in the context of the two sort of sides of a recruiter, the business development aspect of a recruiter, but also the account management. Starting with the account management, what makes a good recruiter? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, how long's a piece of string? I think it's such a loaded question. And I think recruitment can get a really bad rap because in one sense, yes, anyone can do recruitment. There's a really famous kind of like, what's the word? Consultant recruiter. He sits on a lot of boards. His name's Greg Savage. Can't believe I'm quoting him here and giving him free publicity. But he often says, you don't want to be an okay recruiter. That's the worst place you can be. You either want to be bad, so you get out, or you get good. But the worst place to be isn't in limbo.
It's fair. And I think this applies to anything, to be
honest.
Yeah.
You never want to kind of just be run of the mill, because I think a lot of people, when they start this job, they think it might be easy because anyone can do it. And I am a firm believer of that. Anyone can do recruitment, but I think the people that do it incredibly well, particularly when it comes to areas of account management and relationship building, and that's not even to say that I'm the best at that. I've worked with recruiters now who have 15, 20 plus years more experience than me, and they're absolutely brilliant. I think the big thing that can differentiate that is your ability to connect as a human being and as a person.
Yeah, I agree.
There is nothing to stop a client from buying from anyone else, no matter what your product is. If you're a recruiter, if you're a salesman of an SHCM technology, I think what really will differentiate how many people keep coming back is you as an individual. Because
the only way you can have exclusivity over recruiting if you're doing outsource, for example.
Yeah.
You've signed a contract, in the next 12 months, we're going to recruit 500 people for you and we're going to get $1 million for this or something like that. But if you're a recruiter, please confirm, super majority of the time, you're not exclusive. You have to prove your worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the better way to say that is if you're at the beginning of a client relationship, why on earth would they take a punt for exclusivity? They don't know you from Adam. You could be anyone. You could be selling anything. It's funny that you mentioned that, though. I think that, well, I always say me as a recruiter now in my agency, Precision Sourcing. It's an interesting dichotomy. I think that on one side, if you're a hiring manager and you think, well, why wouldn't I reach out to 3 agencies? I'll be able to cover the market more. There'll be a sense of competition. There will be
that's the idea anyway.
Yeah, that's their idea. Whereas in actuality, if I'm a recruiter and I know my client's gone out to 3 other agencies, Does that client think they're going to get 100% of my effort and time?
It's two ways, isn't it?
Brutally, no.
What's the word? You sow what you sow what you.
Yeah. Oh, I do know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, more often than not, I am now at a place with a lot of my clients where I have done the hard yakka and I've worked really hard to build the relationships and I've worked really hard to not just establish myself as a recruitment consultant, but a partner when it comes to who do you want to bring onto your team, to the point where I'll mostly only work exclusive roles. You will have 100% of my commitment if I know I have 100% of yours. Yeah.
This is why account management is such an interesting beast that is so different from pure sales and new business only, isn't it? This point of, for example, when you're talking to account management folks, especially in the context of an interview, you hear the word relationships flown everywhere. Like, what does that even mean? It's such a broad word. What do you really mean? How do you build a relationship? Tell me, as opposed to telling me, oh, I love building relationships. How do you actually build it? Such a delicate thing, isn't it?
Such a delicate thing.
You do want to work hard. That client still can take it for granted and continue to think it's funny that they're working with multiple recruiters, not appreciating all the work you're doing for them.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is there's never a one thing, a formula that just works. It's such a nuanced conversation every time, in every relationship, in every client.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's really important not to create a blanket rule of, oh, this is how I build a relationship. Your relationship is going to be different with whoever you're building it with, and how you build it will depend on who you're building it with. I think that there needs to be a level of authenticity. Again, at the end of the day, we kind of talked about a client isn't going to buy from your company because they love your company or they like your product. I think a lot of the time they buy from you because they like you.
Oh, okay.
They like your loyalty. They like your style. It could be anything. It could be something as simple as, we related to a common topic.
Whilst I agree with you, I totally agree with you. I'm not trying to be a smart ass and just find a reason to wanna disagree about, but it depends slightly on the product. Sometimes, for example, in the case of recruitment, 100%.
Yes.
It's relationship, it's people.
Yep.
It's really like customer service and people and stuff. If in the case of a software that is so going to be integrated everywhere,
Sure.
it is a big thing. Sometimes clients can put up with people that they could describe to be even amateurs or not professional because they know that's the best product for the company. They continue to put up with that relationship because they know that's the best product. That's a 5-year, 10-year decision about the product. But certainly, in your case, in a recruitment, it is the number one in my opinion.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you're recruiting for someone or if you're recruiting for something, you know you need that thing. It's the same as buying a car. It's the same as buying a house. You know, at the end of the day, no matter what avenue I go down, I want this to be the outcome. That doesn't change. Who you use doesn't change. How you get there changes. So I think when it comes to account management specifically, relationship building is a really wishy-washy term. And again, it'll mean something different for a lot of my clients. For some of my clients I've been working with now for 7 years, and I know them so well, and they know me so well. They know how I started in this job. They know I got married a year ago. They know I bought a house 2 years ago. We check in on things like that. But then in the flip side, I have some clients who don't really know that much about my personal life. But in the same way, I have a good relationship with them, and it's a protected relationship with them. I think at the end of the day, so much can be said for authenticity. Like, you need to be able to present yourself in whatever shape or form that might be. I think people, like humans, can inherently tell most of the time when a front has been put up.
So you're answering a question I was about to ask, and I already agree with you. I love what you're saying. So if I was to ask the question, what would be the number one foundation to building the so-called relationship that everybody talks about? Would I be lying to say that you're insinuating to be authentic is the number one thing?
100%. At least for how I have built my success. And how I approach what I do on a day-to-day basis, authenticity is the first.
I so agree with you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've never said it like that, but I saw it the way you were speaking. I'm sorry, not the way, as you were speaking, I'm going, yeah, oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much energy you already are going to have to put into your day, right? Whatever you're doing. Can you imagine the energy of then having to put on a front?
Oh my
top of
God,
that?
that's such a cool way to explain it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a really big believer, all my bosses will say this for better or worse, but I'm very much a believer of working smarter, not harder. I don't see the reason as to why I would show up doing anything in my life that isn't something that I wouldn't want to do.
Or you're having to lie about what
Yeah,
you're
or I'm
doing
having
it,
to
or
be
who you
someone
are
else
and-
to present a message to make that more believable. I think that can be seen through in a minute.
You're so right.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I 100% would say I agree with you. Authenticity is the number one thing. And you know, it's really interesting because you might be so different. Because when you're authentic, clearly you're taking a huge gamble of because you're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, even if your character and your person is so different to the other people, they're still going to appreciate that and they're still going to like you and work with you.
Yes.
They might disagree with you because maybe part of your authenticity, you might open up with your views of the world perhaps. But as long as you're saying it in the way you're not telling anybody what to do.
Yeah, I'm not preaching it. I'm not saying you need to agree with me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at least you've showed that you're brave. You've showed that you're being vulnerable in front of them because you're trying to befriend and you're not telling them what to do. I think they will appreciate it regardless to what those views are.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Vulnerability is a huge part of it. And it can be scary. When you're younger, you want nothing more than to fit in. I mean, I'm a child of an immigrant family. My God, all I wanted was to fit in. All I wanted was the Devon sandwich and the Wonder White bread. But instead, I'm half Chinese and half Indian. I got curry and dumplings. And at that time, it was, I was open my lunchbox and I'd be like, oh my God, what has my mom packed me again? She's harpooned me on the lunch break. But I look back at that now and call it life experience. I think the world is also just a different place, but all of a sudden individuality is the best thing to have. It's coveted. People are desperate to find something that they can hold on to, say that is mine and mine alone, and that's my individuality, that's my culture. It's now become something to really covet and look after. And I think that all ties into authenticity. Maybe isn't something that you have when you're younger, unless you're very, very confident. But it's definitely something that you can grow into. Sometimes it's inherent, but I think authenticity can also be learned. You just kind of have to have that conversation within yourself.
Yep. Very, very interesting. Okay, so the account management side, building that relationship, and you've confirmed, one of the questions I had, that at least in a recruitment business, to be honest, in every business, in every relationship these days, no one owns the client. Very rarely.
Yeah.
I mean, 1% of any account management role out there that would be working for a product/company where they have this hold over the client.
Yeah.
The client cannot make a move for 10 years. It's so rare.
No.
The majority of the time, you're working in a very competitive environment. You need to continue to show worth to keep that client. So that's all good. Let's switch back maybe a little bit. We could come back to this by any means if you feel you need to, but the business development for people they still have that fear. They've never done business development before. Sales, selling, calling, cold calling, that stuff is to a lot of people, it's, my gosh, it equals anxiety. Let's break it down a little bit from a recruiter's role and what that means, but also what would make someone also, really good at that or successful at that.
Yeah. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes.
Cool. I think the easiest way to do it is just not giving a shit. I think there can be, particularly when I started, there was a lot of fear of no is a really normal human thing.
I mean, this is connected to authenticity as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because I think when it boils down to it, you got to believe in what you're selling, ultimately. Again, that's a really easy thing to sniff out. If you don't back yourself, that will come in through.
A lot of people, unfortunately, don't have that luxury. They're desperate. They're running out of money, about to lose their home or whatever, they need a job, they get given a job where they don't believe in the product, but they take it. So not everybody has that luxury though. So if you can reflect on that a little.
And I think that it is a catch-22 where you probably will only get that luxury sometimes with time and experience and exposure, which is hard because at the beginning, that's when you need it the most. You need the confidence to not care.
To your defense, why would they put themselves in that position? With all due respect, I mean, this is commercial. You have a home that you can't afford to pay for it. So you've made a decision to buy the home, to get the mortgage, so etc. So really, I mean, if you get yourself into that position, because we're saying how you successful business development, right? It means you should have always been in a position to be so good that you're in demand, that you're able to choose. So I guess maybe it's related. That means you're not probably good at business development, that you found yourself selling a product you don't believe in. I don't know.
I think that look, I can't say I was backed into a corner when I did recruitment, but I don't think you'll meet any recruiter that says, oh, look, you'll meet one. We hired one recently, and when I was asking him in the culture rounds, why do you want to do recruitment? Everyone says money. It's money. It's money. It's sales. It's normally an incredibly money-driven market. You'll get that very few 1% who say they genuinely love the job. But I will say, and I say it all the time, if a council gardener earned as much as I can earn in a year, best believe I'd be council gardening. Like, it's a hard job. It's thankless. It very often can be master servant, although I've worked really hard with these clients that I'm now cultivating and relationship building with and managing, that it's not master servant anymore. But I think all of it can boil down to, I mean, why would you pick up the phone to make that cold call? Because there's money on the other side to be made.
As a junior recruiter, every recruiter like yourself started as a junior recruiter. When you're talking to a client, you find a client that's interested. Yes, sure, I'd like to explore that you would help me to hire a marketing person.
Yeah.
Mid-level, junior even, not necessarily senior position.
Yeah.
And you don't know much about marketing necessarily, or at least this particular brand of marketing.
Yeah.
When you're having that brief meeting with them about the role, the brief, do you sometimes bring someone, a senior recruiter, someone at least in that market that knows about marketing, to come with you, or you are able to just you and them, listen to them, what they want, and you do it? Or you know what I mean? Is that part of the value that you add, that you can have a meaningful conversation about the strategy for that role?
100%. So my company, Precision Sourcing, we are very much an inch wide, mile deep recruitment agency. We have 3 major pillars. We don't step foot outside of those pillars. It's SAP, technology, and data. I only recruit SAP.
So when you first started with SAP, you would bring someone with you from the business senior
Absolutely.
SAP to
and when
work on that brief sessions until the brief is really determined, and when you start to recruit for it.
That's right. And when you start off, absolutely, why would you, cut your nose to spite your face? If you've got a rookie that's starting, and I was a rookie when I started, and you absolutely nothing about SAP. But I think, yes, you need to know about your technology. You need to know about what your client recruits for. Absolutely, that is a huge part of why we're a successful recruitment company now.
Yeah, so part of that, especially now that you know the space really well, you can be viewed as a consultant in there, as an HR consultant, imagine, about the role strategy. I would like to call that. I don't know if you guys use that word.
Yeah.
But to me, every role's got a strategy. It's got a nuance to it that could be, you can really create its own strategy, its own playbook for that role in a sense. So let's say when you're having a conversation with a client, do you end up playing that role of a consultant, say, are you sure you want to have 2 implementation guys here and 1 support thing here, and as opposed to maybe this person can do that role too? Do you end up having that kind of conversation about the brief and adding value there?
Yes. Sometimes yes. A lot of what we do as a recruitment agency is consulting, be it your salary range is off, your expectations of what this one person can do are off. You need to split the role into 2. This person doesn't exist. That combination doesn't exist. There are so many parameters in a role wherein, and I think sometimes the hardest roles to recruit for are, let's say you're a company and you've had someone in this role for 15 years and they're a FICO consultant. They do your finance. Can you imagine the assumed knowledge that someone with 15 years in your company would have on how you like to work, on your systems, on your processes? If you wrote down all that knowledge and then you went out into the market to try to find exactly that, forget about it. That person doesn't exist. That's an impossible ask. So more often than not, a lot of our job is tampering expectations and educating our clients on what do you actually want? What do you really want?
Yeah.
And like, I'll be completely honest on what I am not there to judge your SAP technical skills. Not at all. I know a lot about SAP. I know more than I probably want to know about SAP. When I leave this market, best believe I'll be leaving SAP behind me. I think that at the end of the day, your recruiter isn't there to make sure you can develop and code. That's my client's job. That comes down to a technical interview. A recruiter, in my opinion, as brutal as it is there to judge you as a person. I know my company's culture. I know my clients' cultures. I know what kind of people they like to manage. I know how they lead. I know
Who
what
would
kind of
succeed
I know what
in
kind
that
of
environment?
personalities would do well in that environment. I know which personalities won't do well in that environment. And every client's different. So a lot of what I do, yes, boils down to SAP and can they do that part of the job. But particularly now in this market, I mean, SAP as a technology has been in the Australian market for almost 30 years now. It's actually relatively quite old if you look at technology, as a market. SAP, when it first arrived in Australia, didn't have an established SAP market. Instead, they went to the IT corner, which was absolutely a corner in that part, and it was probably 5 old white guys. They said, cool, we've just bought this new product. It's called SAP. You're no longer the IT department, you're the SAP department. You now do SAP. The interesting thing is those 5 guys, from that moment on, their career paths changed. And 25 years later, they're still doing SAP. What's interesting about that is not only do the best SAP, I think when you look at SAP consultants and what makes a really good one, yes, it's their technical skills, but SAP is a technology that runs your business. If you can't communicate to your business, you can't take them on a journey, if you can't tell them how this technology is going to change your end user's life, what's the point? The amount of projects that I have seen throw hundreds of millions of dollars, quite literally, at an SAP implementation, they've been able to say at the end of it, on time, on budget, brilliant, we've done really well here, guys. Let's go home. They turn that button on, they go live. And what do you know it? Everyone's still using the Excel spreadsheets that they had before that go live.
Damn, that project management and the communication, stakeholder management.
So I think when my clients more often come to me, I'll use that FICO consultant again. Okay, I'm looking to replace someone who I have had in my company for 15 years. They were a FICO consultant. Yes, I need to make sure whoever I'm presenting is a good FICO consultant, that they can do the functional side of that role. But more importantly now, and I think particularly in this market, is your soft skill ability. How good are you at telling a story? How good are you at communicating the functional configuration changes that you are making, and what's that going to mean to your accounts receivable team? How is that going to flow your impact of invoices? Having that business knowledge and acumen is now what is separating that 1% of SAP talent that's doing incredibly well and will always be in demand to the rest.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, as you're saying that, what crosses my mind is, it's so interesting what you said, this whole ability to search for the truth and question why are we doing this and the reason behind we're doing this, what's the root cause of the problem. I feel it's the most powerful thing, isn't it, in any role these days?
Yeah.
Like, for example, in the case of a recruiter, in your role, when you sit with a client that says, look, we want to hire 1 person to do this and 3 people to do that, for you to just to listen, okay, so why that role here, what they're going to do and why, trying to understand that the strategy behind these hires do you do that, or do you?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Do
absolutely.
you sometimes convince them to change them? I know you mentioned already.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned sometimes splitting the role into two.
Yep.
Funnily enough, 2 minutes before we started the podcast, we talked about something like that at
Yeah.
Martian Logic here, the producer role. But you know, do you also sometimes, it's beyond that, forget the splitting the role, but that strategy, do you got sometimes some clients who don't want to talk about that? Just do this. We've talked about it
100%.
many times. And
Yep.
just do it.
And like, why, I've already given you what I'm looking for. Why the hell are you trying to change that? All the time. And I think that comes again down to, we talked about like the master servant relationship that you can so often have with clients. And I think particularly when you start out as a recruiter, you just want to work a job. I will take the shittest job you have. I don't care that you've given it to 5 other agencies. I don't care that your expectations are through the roof and unrealistic. Like, I just want to be busy. That was a really hard lesson to unlearn and mindset to unlearn. I think anywhere in sales, you can put 100% of your energy into something and not have it work. I think that's the real brutality about sales. Like, let's say you're an Uber driver. The recruitment industry standard of a job to fill ratio, which is basically to pick up this many jobs and get a placement, I need to do 5 to 1. That's the industry standard. Can you imagine working 5 times for an outcome of 1? Like, it's horrid. It's brutal. And I think that's where the master servant mindset comes in. And if you've got a 5 to 1 job to fill ratio, you probably have a master servant mindset. You're doing volume, not quality. I worked really, really hard to basically just say, you know what? Fuck that. I don't want 5 to 1. I want 2 to 1. I want 1 to 1 now. I want to know if a client's approached me, I've worked so hard at building that relationship that it's almost a guarantee that something good, money, is waiting for me at the end of this process. An outcome is there that I will be able to directly influence. And sometimes you can't influence it. You can do everything right. And recruitment is one of those jobs where you can do everything right. You can close your candidates to an absolute, 10th of a degree. You can have brilliant client control. You can prep that candidate. You can close them. Everything's going well. And at the very end, I don't know, we had an internal that we hadn't considered before. Or, you know what? That project funding just got pulled. You can do everything right and still not have that outcome that you want. You can literally rewrite the math of 1 + 1 does not equal 2 in this case. 1 + 1 = 0.
So maybe, thanks for sharing that. It makes perfect sense. I just didn't think about it, but do you think also? It's another reason why that initial conversation, when I was talking about, do you try to understand the strategy in question? Sometimes makes it more of
100%.
why it's needed.
So
you don't end up in that situation when you realize the foundation is a bit shaky. We don't have the budget 100% approved. Well, why we're going to market yet?
Exactly.
Maybe you want to wait a bit, right?
So many times, again, when you're a rookie, or maybe when you're not even busy, you could have 20 years experience and you've hit a dry spell. No fault of your own, but you've hit a dry spell and you're just desperate to work something. Please give me something that takes me off business
You don't
development.
question too much.
I can't do this anymore. You start only asking the questions that you know are easy, that you know will give you the answers that you want to hear, and then you can kind of go off on your merry way. To unlearn that, to still ask all the hard questions to uncover what would be what we call a number 3 job versus a number 1 job. Takes discipline.
Sorry, I would love to learn that.
So
I've never heard it before.
so a number 3 job is like, you can have a little bit of my time. I'll explore this for you. If I come across someone, if I happen to, sure, I will float them your way and I'll make you aware.
Okay.
And number 1 job that's money. That is my outcome. I would always rather having 1 number 1 job versus 10 number 3 jobs. We talked about that 5 to 1 job to fill ratio. A number 3 job is a 5 to 1 ratio. A number 1 job is maybe a 1.5 to 1. Like, your odds are better there because You're armed with everything. You know exactly what you know exactly what you're looking for. You know what your client's looking for. You're aware of the challenges. You're aware of the risks. Therefore, you can manage those risks, and you can, more importantly, manage your effort and your time. A question I always like to ask my clients when I'm trying to gauge that is, if you were me, how much time would you spend on this role? You'd be surprised how many people then go, oh, maybe not that much. And I'm like, cool. Tell me why. Why would you not spend time on this role? And then you start to uncover, oh, we actually have an internal candidate, or, oh, we've actually done 3 interviews. One of them was pretty good, but, you know, we wouldn't mind someone comparing against. There are so many little nuances where a client wouldn't think that's relevant to tell you, but it's incredibly relevant for you as a recruiter to know, because it will dictate how much time and effort do I give you.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree with that. Okay. So the what else other than I mean, it's probably a bit unfair to think, oh, a recruiter or a 360 recruiter would be doing business development and account management. I mean, surely there's more than that to it, right?
Yeah, there is.
Can we talk about that?
I think there's, it's very dependent on the agency that you work with. For example, I'm doing a podcast right now. 7 years ago in recruitment, I don't think that would have been a thing. 7 years ago as a technology provider, I don't think that would have been a thing. There are now so many parts of my job that feed recruitment but aren't recruitment, if that makes sense. So for example, at Precision, we have a huge belief of your brand and what you present. So I'm KPI'd on LinkedIn posts. It's probably how you found me. I need at least 3 to 4 LinkedIn posts per week.
Got it.
We do
marketing
events.
aspect
Yeah,
of
we
it.
do events quarterly. These aren't events that are selling us as a recruitment agency. They're events that share with our market knowledge that some of our clients can share. You know, they're SAP specific. They don't really talk about recruitment. We have our own podcast wherein we invite senior SAP leaders to talk about their failures, their learnings, successful projects, unsuccessful projects. There are now so many elements that feed and inform who I am as a recruiter, but they aren't necessarily recruitment anymore. But they kind of now have a life of its own.
Brilliant. How about the sourcing? I mean, my goodness. I mean, that's another one. So yes, you've done your account management, and you found that lining manager. You've convinced or persuaded that lining manager to give you a go, to give you a few jobs to fill. You still have to that's another learning how to work with candidates and understand candidates and personalities and match and psychology and all that. My
Yeah.
goodness. I mean, that's a whole even area, because some people, that's all they do, right? In an agency.
Yeah. Some people,
Yeah.
that's all that they do.
Mm.
So it's really hard to sell a person. When you're selling a product, that product doesn't have an opinion. It has parameters, but it doesn't have an opinion. You know exactly where its hard line is and what it can do and what it can't do.
Who's the person you refer to here? The candidate? You're selling the candidate to the client?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. A candidate has dreams, aspirations. They don't want to travel 45 minutes. They only want to travel 30. They have a wife or husband that they need to talk to before they can make this decision. They have mortgages to pay. They have school bills. They have a holiday that they want to go to. They have a constantly changing matrix that informs decisions that they make about their day-to-day life. It's a real challenge, and I think this is kind of where EQ comes into it, to be able to sniff out bullshit, ultimately, when you're speaking to a candidate.
Yeah.
Some are good as gold. You can tell in the first 5 minutes, this is someone who is earnest. They've told you everything up front. Great. And there's something to be said around trusting your gut when you're a recruiter. If I get that feeling, 9 times out of 10, I know that person's not going to give me any trouble. But again,
that's a major problem, and I really respect you for getting straight to this point. I mean, this is the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the most frustrating thing, especially because I think we have that in common. Although, but you know what I mean? when I'm hiring Java developers,
Yes.
I have it's such a huge issue there. But I guess we have some overlap when you're hiring SAP developers or technical people.
Yeah.
The amount of lies in their resumes, they
Yeah.
sprinkle all these
Yeah.
keywords everywhere.
Oh, can you say I don't read resumes?
And
read
right,
resumes.
I was going to get
I
to
do
that.
not read resumes.
Speak to me about it.
So, I mean, you've just hit the nail on the head. Anyone can write a resume. ChatGPT can write the best resume I've ever seen in my life. What the hell's a resume? It's words, and if you're smart, you've read the job description, you've asked for keyword matches, and you've popped into ChatGPT, which, by the way, this isn't a bad thing to do if your experience is real and relevant. But if your experience is real and relevant, there is absolutely nothing wrong with popping in the job description into ChatGPT and saying, please draw out the relevant experience from my CV to best address this role.
Or to your point, your CV's got all the right keywords and
Yeah.
stuff. Can you please write it better for me?
Yes.
Totally. This is what I said to my clients. I don't think
Absolutely
that's
nothing.
an issue.
No.
It's the lying aspect.
Yes. So what I disagree with is please make up my experience.
Yes.
So I don't read CVs.
Is that a thing with ChatGPT?
100%.
Make up?
100%. Yeah. Lie for me.
I'm
Of
joking.
course it
Yeah,
is.
of course.
But yeah, I do not read CVs. I will do what a glorified word searcher does, and I'll kind of look at a CV and I'll be like, yeah, it looks pretty close to what I'm looking for. But more importantly, what I look at is
Where they've been, a company's
where you've
experience.
been, your tenure, your
Stability, yeah.
industries.
Yep.
But the most important thing is just getting on the phone.
Got it. So that's it. Oh my God.
Just
you
have the
always
conversation.
say the thing I was about to ask you about. You're so good. So once you've seen that resume looks about right,
Yeah.
you want to speak with them, right?
Just have the conversation. I think that this
you want
is...
to, you're dying to see how they sound.
Yeah, I'm
That
dying to hear your
authenticity,
energy.
that comm skills,
Yeah,
that energy, right?
Exactly. And I've now been doing this long enough. I can sniff you out. Don't lie to me. I'll know, and then I'll have it remembered forever. You lied to me.
I mean, I absolutely. I mean, I know for a fact, not for a second, I am assuming, insinuating that it's not like, either of us, you or me, because I'll recruit. I mean, I'm a hack recruiter compared to you, but let's say I'm a recruiter too. Not as if we go on the phone with a negative mindset, trying to find that this
No, I'm
guy's
not
like,
saying prove me
absolutely not.
wrong.
If anything, we can't wait for this
Yeah.
guy to sound good. It's like, oh my God, yes, please keep talking
Yeah.
like that. Keep saying that. Don't lie. Be authentic. It's like we want that, you know? But it's interesting. How do you then feel about video interviewing? Because does it or does it not give you that?
I don't think it does. Personally, I don't think it does. So we had a period during COVID. Obviously, video interviews were the only thing going on at the moment.
Recorded video interviews I'm talking about, not the
recorded?
online call.
Not the online call.
No, because that could come later and we can
Yeah.
talk about that.
Oh,
I'm talking
you mean
about-
like a video CV or something?
Yeah. So
Right.
in the application
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
you could say, "Can you please record yourself
I
for
had
a
to
minute?"
do one. I
Right.
had to do one for this recruitment agency.
Right.
And
right.
I think I was the last person to do it.
Because you know how we're talking about the resume,
Yeah.
looks about right. We want to hear them. That's fantastic. Of course, we want to speak with them, but it can take a long time of chasing back and forth
Yeah.
before you can get to them. If you have, as soon as you look at them, you go about right, I want to see how they sound. Boom, hit that button. Wouldn't that be valuable?
Yes, but I think you would cut off a lot. At least you'd cut off a lot of my market. So if you look at the demographic of the SAP market,
not everybody's going to do that. Going to go through.
not everyone's good
Okay.
at that either. So I
and
think
that's why they wouldn't do it. You mean it's a deterrent, yeah?
yeah, it's a
'Cause
deterrent.
They're going to shy away. They're going to feel it's a
Yes,
weakness. of mine.
Exactly. They're going to feel not comfortable in front of a camera. They're not going to feel not comfortable at selling themselves. A lot of people aren't very good at selling themselves.
That's okay. Video interviewing is something that we sell. So
Yes.
I've been in this space for 10 years. So I might have researched it more than you, and that's understandable, right? So what you said is 100% the first point of defense against that.
Yeah.
It's not we're going to lose a lot of decent chunk of the
Yeah.
market. It's 100% understandable. And in many ways, you're right. Now, someone would then push back on that saying, if you've done your job as a recruiter and you've identified the that role, the way you're selling it based on exact knowledge of the business, and you found the real reasons why someone want to do that job, and who is that someone. You've advertised it as a niche to those people. You build that connection. What's in it for you? If you are this and you want to be here, this is the perfect role for you, etc. etc. If you've done that really well, this person will go through any hoop in the universe to do it, because that is the perfect role. This person speaking my thing is as if they know me, etc. They will do it, especially if they're respectful, especially if it's only 1 minute, especially if you've made them already relax, as in, we're looking for you. We don't care how you sound, and because it's so niche, you've done your job so well. You're speaking to a very, niche vertical audience. Do you know what I mean?
That's a really interesting point. Would you hire for Java developers?
Yes.
Do you have your Java developers do a 1-minute interview video?
I have not done it for the Java developers. I've been recently doing it.
Yeah.
To your full defense there, the amazing recruiter working for us now in a full-time capacity didn't want to do it. So for the roles he's doing, he took it off. He's in charge. I would, any role going forward that I want to do, I want to challenge myself to really make sure this ad speaking to the right people and tell them exactly why they want to have that, do this role, what's in it for them, paint the future properly, etc. And I want to have a video. One question there, 1 minute, one question.
What's your question?
Why Java development for you?
Interesting.
What would a stable job where you feel that this is not work, really happy, you love the people you work with, mean for you in your life, for you and your family, if you have a family? It's something like that. Just open. You're speaking to a human being and let them talk.
Yeah. And
you spoke before about aspirations and human. That's what, not technical whatsoever.
Yeah. And what is, as the hiring manager, what do you want to gain out of that 1-minute video? Is it a taster of their personality, or
shortcutting the process, the speed to market, the time to shift? It's with that back and forth to get to speak to someone. I mean, even though we have SMS capabilities in a platform, templated, I hit a button, they get a beautiful SMS. Hey, it's Anwar from Martian Logic, trying to get in touch with you about this role, all templated beautifully. Can you please call me back on this number? They just have to hit the call. You've got all that, and you still take a long time to speak with people.
Yeah.
If as soon as you go, oh my God, that looks about right, which is, I agree with you with the resume. I don't read details. That structure looks right. The journey, boom, hit a button, and you can hear them speaking.
Yeah.
You can see the body language, the eyes, the personality, the people skills. It's like, I'm in love. I want to speak to that person right now. Then you start the journey of the calling and emailing and sending links to calendar, all of the above. But you would have cut out, you jump on a call sometimes, Sara, and you realize after 2 seconds, it's the wrong person. But I'm a human. I cannot end that call after 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I end up speaking with for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Story of my life.
So that's one thing. There's many reasons why you're really wasting a lot of time. This can really make you a lot more efficient. But you're right. There's always that risk of potentially losing a certain potential, part of the market there. You can argue, which is, you've implied that already to your defense. If someone is really good at what they do, they already have a job. They would not go through any hoops. You cannot ask even any questions. Just give me your resume, and I'm very grateful. I don't know. I genuinely don't know if this is the game. I think your job is to create the ad that speaks their language, to really.
So what does your ad look like?
In what way? It's an ad.
Do you have a minute video?
In the ad?
Yeah.
I should do that. That's a great point. But definitely the ad, if you look at the ad, I 100% speak to the people about what's in it for them and paint the picture of the progression thing, always bullet points at the bottom. I'm not saying I'm 10 out of 10. I think I'm making a huge effort to really try to really narrow it down. When someone sees it, they are so excited. They feel as if they know me, and they really would answer that question happily with a smile on their face.
If your job ad is that good, sure, maybe you'll have a pretty good hit rate. The average job ad out there is subpar at best. So I would say, I mean, we talk about commitment, right? And 100% of my time, if I have 100% of my client's time, if you're asking a candidate to do that, I think it only fair as the client you present in a similar way. If your job ad is just written of, and it can be as passionate as you want it to be, but if your job ad is just, hey, this is us, this is our story, this is why we think we're pretty good as a company and why people love us and why people stay. If you're asking people to send back a video to just a text on Seek, I think that's a pretty big ask. If, however, your job ad instead looks like a 1-minute testimonial as you as the CEO, you then interview 2 other people who have worked here for more than 5 years.
I love that.
Then maybe we can start looking at asking people.
You broke the ice and you showed them, led by example. You've
given vulnerability first.
Sure.
It's very difficult, I think, to have that as a one-way street.
I totally agree. I just would make one remark that when you say if your job ad that good, I agree with you. Again, I'm not trying to be a smartest, but I just want to emphasize it's not about being good in the sense that you're an amazing writer, although it helps, absolutely. Copywriting skills helps. But really what I meant is the facts. If you're digging deep, when we talked before about when you're talking to your clients, do you really ask enough about why, about understanding the environment, what they would do, what success looks like, blah, blah, blah. You really dig deep to understand that role before you advertise. That is what I'm talking about. So you can patent in every realistic and factual way, but also why you'd want to do it, what's in it for you, the money, the progressions, the blah. Just be honest about that. You can't invent things clearly. You could be an environment that is really bad. You still have to focus, not necessarily talk about the bad, but focus on the facts. And hopefully it would be good enough. At least you're authentic and you've connected with that person and they would do something for you like that.
Yeah.
But also, even, I have to say the tone of the ad coupled with the questions can mean a lot. You see sometimes, I think you've touched on that before. You said if the ad just says, very short and faceless and cold.
What can you do for me instead of what can we do
for you?
And
it doesn't have there's that corporate thing behind it. There's no human behind it, as if it's ChatGPT written. As opposed to your point, you just said the word vulnerability. So if the ad is written genuinely by a person, you don't have to be a copywriter. With all the imperfections of the world that you might have in your writing, just stick to the facts, be honest, and tell them what's in it for them. They will go, there's something here. Okay, I'll give them a minute of my time. Let's see how we go in the first chat.
So that's often what a recruiter does, ultimately. In the same way that I tell people I don't read CVs when I really speak to people. In the same breath, I obviously work a lot with candidates who are looking for jobs for the first time. I very often tell them to disregard the job ad because more often than not, sure, if you're a small to mid-sized company, the hiring manager probably has written the job ad. But if you're a major conglomerate, that hiring manager has not written the job ad. Some talent acquisition person who doesn't really know that hiring manager has gotten 3 dot points and they've had to flesh it out.
That's what I mean. It becomes faceless.
It becomes faceless and it becomes whether they want it to be untrue. There's
you're right.
There's a presentation.
Facts even twisted.
Yeah, there's a presentation.
Lost in translations.
Correct. There's a presentation there that is no longer face value. So a lot of people, and a very common trap that I think candidates fall into in this market is they rely too much on the job ad in the same way a hiring manager may rely too much on, but he said that on the CV. So why isn't that there when I interview them? I think that so much has now, people talk about AI and what's AI doing in my job and yada, yada, yada. AI is good. It will have a place in anything and it will make some jobs easier. It will make some jobs harder. Absolutely. One thing it cannot do is replace a very well-honed EQ. And I think you only get that from a conversation. So many times I speak to people and they say, I didn't really apply for that job. I didn't like that dot point there, or I didn't really like that title. Oh, I ticked 9 out of 10, but I didn't tick, all 10, so I just didn't do it. Why would you not have just picked up the phone when you can or sent an email to say, can I talk to someone about this role? I have questions that I want to ask. So many people take the job ad as face value when it's like half of the time not been written by the person that you actually need to influence. So I think there's so much to be said about human connection in a hiring process. It's the same with your recruiter. I mean, recruiters get a hugely bad rap of like, they never get back to me. You know, the black hole of this recruiter spoke to me one time and then I never heard from them again. I will on average speak to like for anywhere between 80 to 100 people a week. My brain is not that good. My memory is not that good. I wish it was, but it's not. You need to be, to remember. Some people are. Don't get me wrong. I've got like a colleague, Che. He's got a mind like a Rolodex. He'll talk to this guy 6 months ago in a really particular skill. I'll ask him that day. I'll just be like, oh, hey, by the way, do you know anyone in this area? And he'll be like, yep, spoke to him 6 months ago. I am not that person.
Sure.
I do not have that
I don't think
skill.
it should matter. Yeah.
No, but it can be helpful and everyone has their strengths and weaknesses.
Sure.
But something that I tell a lot of people is like, you're only going to be as good as what people remember you as. So if you're not leaving some form of a lasting impression, it's very difficult to break into anyone's mind. And a lasting impression is not an email. It's not a job application. For me, personally, what leaves a lasting impression on me is a conversation. And I think that's a really easy trick that people miss.
Very interesting. It's been an amazing session. Is there anything else you want to say in terms of what your passion is or aspirations, whether within the recruitment space or maybe beyond recruitment? I would love to hear that.
Oh, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I think when we were speaking, having coffee, you kind of asked, oh, what did you want to be a recruiter? No. No, look, at this point, I am very much my job is a job, and that's it for me. It's a means to an end, and it funds my life, and it's given me incredible opportunities, and it's given me a life that I never thought I would be able to have at my age, certainly.
Yeah. You're very natural.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely. Definitely.
But yeah, on my tombstone.
Your energy is so calm and consistent.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Remarkable.
But yeah, my tombstone's not going to say was a great SAP recruiter. Do you know what I mean? Like,
was a good recruiter.
Yeah, gee, she got me a great team together. It's not going to say that. And if that's what it says on my tombstone, I've not lived my life properly.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. So, no, my aspirations in life very often don't pertain to my job. My job's a mean to an end. The real aspirations of my life, which is to be a good person, a good friend, a good wife, hopefully a good mum. And just like, in general, have some lasting relationships where at the end, I'll be happy to have lived the life that I lived.
You've just embodied being authentic with what you just said. Anybody else would have been so scared to say, oh, yeah, I love my job and blah, blah, blah.
No,
and you just said it as it is. And that is the truth. That's who we are at the bottom of the day. When we finish our work for the day, we want to go and enjoy life. We want to connect with our loved ones and whatever. And that's why we do this. And you're so right. I really appreciate you saying that.
Oh, no
Maybe
worries.
we'll close on this note because that was an amazing note. Very, very well said. And I love the tombstone thing. I'm gonna so say it from now on.
Go for it.
Beautifully said.
Perfect.
That was a good CEO. Oh my God.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Thank you very much.
No
Great to
worries.
meet you.
Lovely to meet you, Anwar.
Okay.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.